So who should buy the brand new Canon EOS R50? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning and focus combination. So good, so good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech photo day and video maybe. We're talking about a camera. Today we're talking about the Canon EOS R50. Now the R50 and the R8, they both were released, and I want to talk about the R50 first because the R50 is one of those budget cameras that a lot of people are looking for. If you're trying to go from shooting with your iPhone, your Android phone, and you want to get a proper camera, this is probably a really good beginner's choice, all right? And I'm going to tell you why and possibly even why not, who this camera's for and who it is not for in this video. So before we get started, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. Also, if you like this video, even in the least, maybe you found it helpful, entertaining, educational, anything, throw the video a thumbs up. That'd be awesome. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel as of yet, consider doing so and then click this little button over here. So when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. Also, if you're looking for a VPN, the VPN that I'm currently using is PureVPN. The nice folks over there at PureVPN gave me a link that I can give to you guys for about 80% off. So at the cost of about a latte per month, maybe $2-3, you'll end up with 250-bit military-grade encryption. You can have a static IP address as well as do port forwarding and all kinds of other things. So if you're looking for a VPN, check it out down in the pinned comment as well as the description. You will find that link. So anyways, guys, let's get right into this. The Canon EOS R50. Now, this is a crop sensor camera. Now I always hear, Joe, what's the best mirrorless full frame camera, full frame this, full frame that? This is not full frame. It is APS-C. I think it is a perfect spot in between full frame and micro four thirds. APS-C is very useful, very functional. A lot of birders, a lot of people that really need that extra distance, that extra reach, they will use an APS-C camera with a nice big honking lens on there and then pull the photo even further, 1.5, 1.6 magnification. But at any rate, the Canon EOS R50 is very similar, very akin to the Canon EOS R10. There's not too many features that are different. There are some, and we'll get into those, but it is very, very similar. It has the exact same Digix X processor, image processor in it. It also has the same 24 megapixel sensor in it. So it's very similar, but there's less buttons on it, let's say. It is a little bit more dumbed down, no joystick, this type of thing. So once again, we're going to get into all of that in just a moment. The way I'm going to break this down is I want to give you the positives and I want to give you the negatives. And these are positives and negatives to me. It might not be positive and negative to you, but just take it all with a grain of salt. Understand where I'm coming from. I am a Canon shooter for 20 years or so, but I shoot every other type of camera also. We shoot Sonys to Panasonic EVA 1s. If we're doing a magazine shoot or a fashion shoot, sometimes we'll bring in Hasselblads because we need the massive medium format. So there's a camera for every job. This camera is specific for a newcomer coming on board, maybe someone that is into social media and they want to get into the YouTubing and maybe do some TikToking and they want to do vertical as well as horizontal captures. This thing will do all that for you. So that's kind of who this is for. But once again, I am going to give you the positives and negatives and then let you be the judge. So to start out with, this camera is the smallest and lightest weight R series camera out of all of them. And it's actually lighter and smaller than the Canon EOS M50 Mark II. So you can imagine how small this camera is. Also, the core behind it, like I said before, is very much so akin to the R10. So you're going to get a lot of those niceties from the R10 in this camera with some bit of dumbing things down a little bit. Now, it does allow you to shoot 15 frames per second, continuous burst shooting. That is not bad for a very low-cost budget camera. Also, it will allow you to do that vertical shooting. So you can actually capture yourself for doing a TikTok or for Instagram or whatnot. So instead of shooting a 16:9, you're shooting a 9:16. Now that is very important, once again, for a lot of you social media people out there, because you'll be able to get a lot more use out of this camera. And then in post-production, you don't have to do all the flip-flopping and whatnot later on in your favorite editor. Now, another big positive when it comes to this camera is that it uses the same RF lens mount as Canon's Pro and Pro-Am mirrorless lineup does. So you can actually use some of that expensive glass on this camera. Do you want to? I'll get into that also in just a minute. Now, it will shoot HD 1080p at 120 frames per second. Now, it doesn't do 240 slow-mo, but 120 is not bad, especially if you're going to have a final speed of, let's say, 30 frames per second. You get a 4 times reduction in speed. So that's a pretty good slow motion image. And I actually prefer 120 over 240 in most instances anyways, because a lot of the cameras that capture 240, the 240 looks like crap. That's just it. Also, it'll be able to capture 4K at 24, I believe, and 30 frames per second, 24p and 30p. And this is from oversampled 6K footage. So that's really nice because you're going to get really sharp 4K video out of this camera. Also, it does have that very angle, or as I call it, a fully articulating back panel. So you can flip it forward to yourself. So when you are vlogging, doesn't matter vertical or horizontal, you'll be able to see yourself. Now, don't look at yourself, look in the lens, but it is very useful to be able to see composition and how you sit in the frame. I like it. And this is one of the things that every camera out there should have today, and that is a fully articulating back panel. I used to say that all the time, and none of the companies were doing it, and then finally Sony came on board, and now we're seeing Panasonic, and all of them are starting to do it. Canon, this is their meat and potatoes. They've always had this very angle or fully articulating back panel, and that's one of the things that drew me into it when it came to capturing video of myself, like what we're doing right now. Now, another big positive when it comes to this camera is just simply using Canon's class-leading dual-pixel AF Mark II, let's call it. It has eye tracking and animal tracking and flying saucer tracking, and it'll track everything. So that is also one of the things that I absolutely loved about the Canon, and now I actually love about Sony, is they're so good at holding focus. In comparison to the way Panasonic used to be, where it would just pulsate from the back to the front to the back to front. It was like a hot mess. It didn't know what the heck it was doing. Well, Canon never had that problem. And now Sony, I think, is as good as Canon, and sometimes in some circumstances even better than Canon. So anyways, dual pixel AF Mark II is in this camera, and it's awesome, as to be expected. Now, it also has a mic jack. So this is really good if you're going to be doing those vlogs, any kind of social media, and you want to introduce higher quality audio. So you can have a lapel mic and lead it into the camera, right into that microphone jack. Also, you can do wireless miking or whatever you want to do and get the audio on the track in the camera at the time of capture. So then later on, you do not have to go and line things up and use 2 different tracks of audio, a scratch audio and your good audio and all the rest of the stuff. It makes things a lot easier. Also, the new Canon EOS R50 has this guided UI or user interface that's supposedly really helpful for newbies that are coming on board. It really tells you what is going on and what things do, which I think is really helpful. I think Canon has always had probably the best user interface out of all the cameras out there. Sony was probably one of the worst, but they're getting better. They're still not there yet. But Canon has always had one of the best. And now with this new guided user interface, it makes it even better because now it tells you what's going on. So now let's jump into the negatives because a lot of people are here for the negatives. A lot of people want to know what the bad things are before they even hear about the good things. Now, one of the things I really don't like is that this camera does not have a headphone jack. And if you're using this for capturing a vlog or any type of video content, you want to listen to see what the audio sounds like. Make sure you're not peaking. Yes, you can look at the meters on your back panel, but those are just not accurate. You want to be able to hear it and make sure that you're not spiking, right? So no headphone jack on this. So, buyer beware when it comes to that. If you need a headphone jack, well, this camera just simply doesn't have it. Now, the viewfinder or the EVF, the electronic viewfinder on this camera is relatively small. So it is, I would say, dumbed down a little bit. And I can understand that because this is a value type of oriented camera, a little bit more budget friendly. Now, another negative is it has a small buffer size. Now, just a minute ago, I gave you a positive that this thing will shoot 15 frames per second, continuous image capture. Well, with this very small buffer size, it's kind of moot. So I have to kind of get rid of that 15 frames per second because we do have this smaller buffer size. So yes, while you can capture 15 frames per second, you can only do it for a short period of time until the buffer fills up, and then you're down to 2 frames per second because it's writing to the card. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of a positive and negative. Smaller buffer size is a problem. And once again, for a budget-friendly camera, you're going to find that. Now, also when it comes to shooting manual mode, if you're looking to move from a P for professional and just being out there and just putting the thing on automatic and just taking snapshots, you're okay. But if you want to move into a manual type of, let's say, learning process where you're starting to learn how to do everything manually, this camera is really not for you because you only have one dial on it, one control dial and an ISO button. So you don't have all of your dials to be able to change your functions. So I would say this is more a point and shoot type style camera for someone that just simply wants to stick with auto and doesn't want to dig into the manual side of photo taking. Now, the lens selection is very limited. This is one of my main points of contention when it comes to the Canon EOS R, but APS-C side type cameras. They just don't have lenses. All right. I think there's like 3 lenses out there right now, and that is it. That is a major problem. So if you're looking for a crop sensor camera that is an RF camera, you're going to end up with 3 lenses and that's it. And the thing is these aren't like high quality lenses. They are more budget friendly lenses. They are zoom lenses and they are variable aperture zoom lenses at that, which I cannot stand. I always like to shoot a 2.8 period. That is it. I don't want anything to vary as I'm zooming in. I just simply don't want it. All of these lenses will go from like 4.0 up to like 7.1 once you zoom in and this kind of thing. I don't like it. But this is what happens when you get a cheaper type of lens. Also, a straight 2.8 lens is going to set you back a lot more money than these will. So once again, there's always this give and take. Now, you can use RF glass, standard full frame RF glass on the camera because it has the same mount. But remember, you're going to end up with a 1.6 magnification crop. Okay, so you're going to only be using the innards of the lens. Now, is that a bad thing? Sort of, kind of, no. And the reason being is the best part of the lens is usually in the center anyways, right? And if you're looking for a telephoto type of look and you need to reach further into your frame, well, that's not a bad idea at all. The problem I see here is more of the professional RF glass that's, for example, like a 2.8. It is heavy and they're usually large. And if you stick a heavy, large lens on this tiny, lightweight camera, number one, it's going to feel like it's toppling over. It's going to be very front heavy, but also it's going to look absolutely ridiculous. So you know, it's always this give and take. Once again, you're spending a small portion of money for this camera, and there's going to obviously be some negatives to it. Now, like I said, my biggest gripe here is the lens selection. There's not a lot out there. But we do know that Canon will be making ass loads of money when it comes to selling this type of RFS glass. So the question is, will they make a lot of it or not? Canon makes a lot of money on lenses. Every manufacturer does. They get you into the system, and then once you're in the system, they start selling you high-end lenses. And once you buy one or two high-end lenses, well, you're kind of married to that model, or you're married to that brand, that manufacturer. And a lot of people will become fanboys and say that this is the best thing since sliced bread, and the reason being is they can't leave. They're stuck. So I hope, it is my hope, that they produce more APS-C crop style lenses, not like what they did with the M series. With the M series, I think they had 5 or 6 lenses, and that was it. They never made any more. They sold a ton of them, but they didn't make a lot of them. Now, are they going to do the same thing here with the RF version of APS-C? Their RFS glass? Are they only going to make 5, 6, 7 lenses? I sure as hell hope not. I want to see some primes. I want to see some good glass for APS-C. Because once again, birders and alike, people that need that extension, that need that extra telephoto, that need that extra reach, want to use a crop sensor camera, but they also need good lenses. So I am optimistic that Canon will make a good lineup when it comes to their APS-C RF cameras. But time will only tell. So if the Canon EOS R50 is something that you're looking for, it's going to set you back $680. It is really affordable, guys, really affordable. $680. And if you want to buy the kit that has the body as well as an 18 to 45, that will set you back right around $800. So 680 or 800. So about 120 bucks more. If I'm doing the math correct, am I? I think so. Not too much, 120 bucks, and you end up with that 18 to 45. That is an RF lens. Now, there is another kit that will give you the brand new, just released on the same day that this camera was released, the 55 to 210. Now, that will set you back about $1,000 for that bundle or for that kit, which still isn't too bad. And if you want that lens only by itself, they'll set you back about 400 bucks. So it's relatively cheap, right, to get involved in this system. You're looking at about $1,000 and you are in. You're into the Canon ecosystem. You're into the Canon RF ecosystem, the mirrorless ecosystem, however you want to call it, but you're into Canon. So I think that it is very powerful, but there are other options out there. Now, if you're not sure if you want to go down the Canon path and you're looking for Sony or Fuji or Nikon, I would recommend the Sony ZV-10. Now, I shoot with the ZV-1. I love it. The ZV-10 is even better. Take a look at that. It's right around the same price. On the Nikon side, you should take a look at the Z50. Really, really superb camera. Very, very good camera. And then on the Fuji side, of course, you have the Fuji X-T30 Mark II. Take a look at all three of those. And they're all right around that same price range. They're very like introductory type of cameras. They bring people over. It's like a crossover camera that brings people into the camera ecosphere, let's say, from a phone, like an Android or an iPhone, and into a proper camera that has interchangeable lenses. And you can actually do something with it in comparison to a simple point and shoot. Because if you think about it, at $680, I mean, it's pretty close to a point and shoot camera price tag within a couple $100. So I think it's really powerful. And like I said, if you are a social media type of person and you don't need to do any of the crazy things like shooting in log and then be able to do color grading after the fact, or any of the other professional type of options, well, this camera might be perfect for you. Once again, especially if you're doing TikToks or Instagrams or anything that you're shooting at 9:16 instead of a 16:9, this camera has got your name all over it. So anyways, guys, I hope you found this video informative, possibly helpful, or just maybe entertaining. If you have, throw the video a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Once again, click over here, do all of those things. And if you just want to say thank you for all of my hard work, there's a little thank you button right down here. Click on that, or if you don't want to, even better, just become a member of the channel. That would be awesome. Would love to have you. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like, and if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.